of you as well to conclude our F1 2013 action. We've also got a developer interview where they're going to take us through some of the new elements of the game and explain more at this early stage. So let's take a look. Hello viewers, so now we're going to learn a bit more from the development team behind F1 2013 then. I'm joined by Lee and Greg. Lee, we've spoken before. We've seen F1 develop over the last couple of games from F1 2010. What's been the vision behind this version then, moving forward?
I mean, obviously you can see we've now got the classic content this year. It's something which we've always wanted to do, but it's taken a very long time to get in place. The licensing issues around it are absolutely enormous, but it wasn't going to go in until we were really happy that we could do it justice, and I think we've really done that this year.
Greg, what's been your initial challenges for F1 2013?
I guess it's the how much the size of the content we've got in the game now. We've got a whole new classic grid of 80s and 90s driver, and then we've got 6 new drivers coming into the 2013 season. So there's a lot of work going into getting how all these elements are going to work in the game and get them believable, working believably.
What about in terms of community feedback? Every year you get a lot of feedback. Are there any elements in this version that have been necessarily affected by community feedback, or were they part of your vision?
I mean, we do every year listen to the community feedback, and we do log everything they say, and we read the forums, and we take offence and we go home and we'll cry. But we always take it on board. And there's certain things that we've brought back. We're not too proud to take on board things and bring them back. So people requested tyre wear scaling again. We've happily brought that back. The logic for why we removed it was perfectly sound, but it wasn't something that people really were that happy with. The mid-race save something people have wanted since the beginning. We've always wanted to be able to save during a race. That's certainly been something the community have asked for, and we're really pleased to be able to get that in as well.
So, some specific options so far we've been revealed today that you're most proud of. Talk me through some of those, some of the things that are really going to excite players.
Well, it's the classic cars, are just the visual fidelity of them. The new art directors come on, so the actual look of the cars. We've got post-processing effects and a new lighting system, which really brings you back to that era of the 80s and 90s in the cars, and with a mixed grid of all these classic drivers and cars, it just really is something special that we've not done before.
What about handling now? Handling's an area a lot of people are always interested in at VVV. What kind of refinements, what can you do within the sort of the fairly strict rules of F1?
I mean, there's always something you learn from the previous game. I mean, like real F1, we do simulate everything really quite seriously. So we learn every year. Every year we learn something new. And this year we've also brought on an extra couple of guys in the handling team. So the extra content's obviously increased the workload, but because we've increased the staff count, we've been able to do the F1 classics and the modern cars. Obviously we've worked on the tyre model again, we've worked on the suspension, we've worked on the aero, and it really is just a learning process for everyone. Every year we get better and better, and I think we've also taken on what people liked in 10, 11 and 12, and I think we've pulled it together to produce definitely the best handling F1 game we've ever produced. What about AI? We've heard there's been some improvements there. Yeah, the AI is currently going through a real polish at the moment. I mean, we've spoken about how in other racing games sometimes the AI are a little bit robotic. They follow a set line. As don't do that. They'll look for the gaps. They'll go for the gaps. If an AI car makes a pass and there's a gap and you leave it open, the guy behind will follow. They'll go 2, 3 abreast through corners. I mean, I think it was mentioned earlier on that taking Eau Rouge, you'd sometimes find that they would always bottle it. But now they're a little bit more aggressive, and it's very close wheel-to-wheel racing. The car-to-car stuff is much better. Okay, so question to the both of you now. One thing about this version that you're most proud of? I've got to say the classics. Every time I see them, I know that's what we're harping on about, but I can't help but smile. And I've been looking forward to this for weeks because we've had to keep quiet about it. And every time I see that black and gold, Lotus, it's just stunning, and it's so nice to be able to show everybody at last. I'm looking forward to Brands Hatch myself. And Greg, your key aspect? Well, we've already spoken about the classic stuff, but for me, it's the actual how alive the drivers feel in their cars. We've had all these new animations put in place where if someone goes for an aggressive overtake and clips the side of your wheel, then your driver will throw up his hand to show aggression. If you put it in one of the new camera mode views, he'll look into the corners and you have more visual fidelity on the helmet. There's more detail into that, and it looks really alive. And of course, with the classic cars, you've got the stick shift, which looks fantastic when you're driving it. Well, brilliant, guys. I've been playing it a bit, enjoying it, and I'll be excitedly looking forward to some of the aspects coming in the coming weeks. Thanks for your time. Cheers. Thank you.
So that was the developer interview. Not a great deal of information there at the moment. Lee mentioning physics. We took on new physics guys, but not necessarily going into too much depth as to refinements and improvements there. F1 2013, the reception on it has been relatively negative, it has to be said. A lot of people complaining it looks like last year's. I can actually see a difference every year. I see a refinement. I think we've come a long way from 2010. Quite a lot of improvement in both physics and graphics. I think it's difficult. I mean, we look at a game like FIFA and you have the same football stadiums and the guys run out there in different colour shirts. That's about it. In Formula 1 we have new cars, new buttons, new circuits. There's lots of changes in there on how you play and how you race as such, besides just the simple things and finding a sales gimmick that you would have to find in a game like FIFA. So I think that so far they've been under some pressure, and I think it's important that the F1 fans understand that F1 games are only going to be that every year, and there's never going to be a patch. You're not going to have a patch that's just going to cover it, because unfortunately they need to pay for a full license. Anyone needs to pay for a full license, so it will always be a box product. But it's interesting to see the types of critical complaints the game's been getting. Overall, though, I've written a blog on the Huffington Post this week, and you'll see a link to that below this video. And I think that the negativity really is derived a lot from from the bugs that we've had at launch, from certain elements that have been omitted in the past. And I think that this year it seems to be a much more polished package. It seems that they've really brought it all together this year. I'm actually quite hopeful that they're showing so much at an early stage this time compared to previous years, that this year it's actually all going to be in place, and I think it could potentially be the best F1 game yet. So lots to look forward to there. The Classic Edition I think is a really good announcement. It's something I've enjoyed. I'm a middle-aged gamer. I enjoyed the late 80s, early 90s racing immensely. They're my Formula 1 heroes, if you like. Driving as Nigel Mansell. Fantastic. Different type of driving, different feel to the car. I look forward to that. I mean, it's very difficult to get a feel on physics from a simple drive, an event like that. You're on the system, you don't necessarily get a great feel for it, you can't hear the sound very well, it makes it very difficult to really get anything back from it. I also don't tend to get a lot back from the Fanatic pedals in quite the same way as I do from my G25 pedals, bizarrely as well. So and also I do find that on the CSR Elite wheel there still tends to be a bit of a delay on the acceleration, so that's something I still think might be a lingering firmware issue. But overall I think graphics are looking good. I think people don't appreciate the fact you have 22 cars on different tyres running AI with fuel levels. And it's made for console. Forget the PC argument for a moment. It's made for a console. It's like it has those limitations built into it. So I think at the moment they're doing a very good job with it, and I think it bodes well for the future when we look at the new consoles, the room that will give them on future versions, and how it can expand in many different ways. But certainly at the moment they're talking about the AI has improved a great deal, and we look forward to seeing how that works in the final game. I think the mid-race save is a fantastic idea. Everyone should do this. It should be a standard feature. As standard as the racing line should be a mid-race save for the endurance races, and that way now you can have a 60-lap race, pause it and continue your race. So I think that's adding a lot to the F1 experience. It's adding a lot to the strategy, and it makes the races feel all that more satisfying and epic when you get to the end. It really does. Doing a nice long distance race like that, I think it will bring a lot more people into the game, bring a lot more depth to a lot of people out there as well. So still a way to go. I've had a quick go on the different car classes, but obviously filming it, I focused all of my time on the Classic F1. That's the new stuff. On later videos we'll look more at the new stuff and how the handling has improved on that as well. No doubt that will be at Gamescom, so I'll be testing it there, and hopefully we'll have a nice bit of preview content for you guys as well. So that concludes the current F1 content that we have available to us at the moment. No doubt there will be a preview of the Hungaroring during the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend, so we look forward to that, and that'll pop up on the channel as soon as it's available. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon.